Hello, everybody. My name is Lewis Lee, and this is Plan of Traffic. We do this every Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So let everybody know if they want to talk about cars. We do this live so you can interact. My name, or I already told you my name, but this is my man Ray, Motor Mouth Radio. You can check him out every Sunday morning at 12 o'clock a.m. Wait, is that right?
It's, PM. 12 a.m. would be midnight. Yeah, it's PM.
Yeah, p.m.
Noon,
Check him out.
Noon.
What's up, Ray? What's good?
Hey, Lewis, everything is good. And especially, I love the topic you picked for tonight because I've been living it for the last couple of days, driving the old cars. And now as I'm doing that, of course, you kind of get involved with stuff and you go in a direction. And then sometimes you go in a different direction. But now I'm thinking about taking one of my other cars that I wanted to do a lot of sheet metal work on first, which I realize it ain't going to happen. It's not happening. I think I'm going to build it the way it is. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be ratty, but I don't think I care. I think driving it would be more fun than, having it safe.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that because when I did my motorcycle, I tore it apart and it was down for 2 years.
Uh-huh.
So when I started working on the Cadillac, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drive it while I'm working on it.
Yeah.
But other things jumped in between. But so I think I'm going to pull it out and start driving it the way it looks with the roof buckled, and I'm going to drive it and then just keep working on it until I get it the way I want it.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Because then not only are you not only are you driving it, which is paramount, but now you're going to want to work on it more because you're using it. It's not just sitting there on the side of the yard. You're not putting pool toys on it and empty boxes or whatever. It's going to be now in the mix.
Yeah, I couldn't find some stuff the other day. I'm like, I think it's in the caddy. That's my storage.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, we always said, the best thing to have is a van that's not on the road. My friend Kevin's got one. We call it, mobile parts storage or immobile parts storage.
Yeah.
Put a lot of stuff in a van. But
that's great. So what cars did you drive over the weekend or over the week?
Well, I used my Pontiac all day Monday. I drove, and actually, now that car is done because it's painted. It's not done. I'm still doing stuff to it, but I went to a buddy's house and he asked me, "Hey, you want a bicycle?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I've wanted a bicycle for a while. I've been, dragging my heels." And he goes, "Yeah, so he had a bike and, I had a moving blanket with me. So I shoved he goes, "But you got your Pontiac. What are you going to do?" Shove it in the trunk. I said, "Car's got a big trunk." In it goes, use the moving blanket, cinched it down with a tie strap, done. I said, "You know what? It's a car. It's a trunk. It's bring the bike home." So I used that all day, driving around, doing different things. And I went out at night to a cruise night with it. And now yesterday it was a nice day. And I said, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to go take the Fiat out of storage because I keep it in a garage a town away. And I'm bad like that. If I have a car at the house, I'll drive it. And when that car's in the storage garage, I kind of forget about it. It's like, so of course I went, I took one of the other cars, I left it there, took the Fiat out. And of course, last night, overnight, with thunderstorms today, pouring rain, and the poor little Fiat's getting drenched. But it's okay. It's just water. So, and I took that out last night. I went to a wake for a friend's dad, and I think it was kind of the right thing to do. I just wanted to take it out and drive it, but people were walking by and looking at it and stopping, and I think. And they were smiling. So I think if it gave them a little bit of pleasure or lightened up the event of going to a wake a little bit, it's a good thing, Yeah,
you're right.
People like seeing cars and bikes and things that they associate with. So, and I love driving the older stuff. I like the new stuff too. But the older stuff is cool because you do have to work at it a little bit more than the newer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's driver involvement.
I'll tell you what, the new technology for these parts are incredible to make these older cars drive nice.
Well, I'll tell you, case in point, my Pontiac, I have a full custom tubular suspension in that car with QA1 shocks and front and back, and now the camber angle has changed. I have tires on there that I could never fit previously because the size, now 17-inch rims fit, different size tires. And that car handles like it's on a rail. It's maybe a little firmer than most people would like it. I'd like to soften it up in the front a little, but I'm telling you, on ramps and off ramps, I feel like I'm driving like an F1 car. There's no lean in the body at all. And it just makes flat turns. And that's because of all those new components.
Yeah. So you've actually seen it. You've had the car, so you felt it change over to the dark side.
Oh yeah. And the other thing is, I go out with my friend Kevin a lot, and he's got a '68 GTO, which is the next generation up from mine. So, like all cars, every generation got a little different, but his I call like the friendly car because, well, it's convertible and it's just the suspension is all stock and it's smooth. We motored down the highway and the car just kind of floats down the highway. You hit a bump, it just eats it up. With my car, it's like it's stiffer. You hit a bump and man, you hit the bump. But like if he was to take a turn, like I took a turn, he'd get body lean. He might get the tires squealing a little bit. So everything's a trade-off. There's no free lunch when you do these things. If you're going to gain on one end, you're going to lose on the other. And you just have to pick where you want the gain and loss to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that, and they do things and then change it because it just, so unless you can ride in somebody else's car and see what they did and then borrow their ideas, you're kind of experimenting.
And well, another thing is with QA1, they have a lot of adjustable stuff too. So if you don't like it, you can adjust a lot.
Mine is. I don't have the double adjustable. The stuff I got came out before that. It's single adjustable, but even that is enough because see. Speaking of that, like the stupidest thing in the world, a power seat in a car. I hate them. I hate them because I always go, if I just move it a little bit more, is that going to be perfect? And then God forbid somebody gets in the car and moves it. That happened to me, my FJ. Somebody had a parked car and they moved the seat. I'm like, oh shit, I'm never going to get it back to where it was. And it's not even a power seat, but it just has like 4 adjustments. So I like a good old manual adjustment. I'll find one that works and I'll leave it there. And I'll give me a power seat and I go nuts. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. my wife's caddy had had 3 settings for 3 different people. So you just hit the button and it moves the steering wheel and gets you all back in the spot.
That's nice because you can set your memory. I had an Audi that did that many, many years ago. Yeah, that's excellent. But too many adjustments, I find. I've talked about this on the radio show a lot. If I get a new pair of shoes or a different pair of shoes or just put on a different pair of shoes, I can feel it when I drive the car. Clutch doesn't feel the same. Maybe the gas doesn't feel the same. And Chris tells me I'm nuts. How could you feel that? Man, I can feel it. It feels almost to the point of maybe I want to readjust the seat. So yeah, we all have our little quirks, I guess.
So when's the last time you drove your SS?
I moved it in and out of the driveway when I had to get the Pontiac out.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking I got to put some rear tires on it because they literally dry rotted. And I just put a set of wiper blades on it today because the rubber got bad on one blade. So I said, you know what? Put some wiper blades on it and I'm going to drive it. I'll take it out and drive it around. Like I said, I got to put tires on it.
I am so upset that those cars went out of price. I can't afford one now. I really still want them, but
I don't really follow it, but I know they went down a couple of years ago. You get them for under $10,000.
Yeah,
but a lot of them had 100,000 miles on them already. Mm-hmm. So where are they now? I really haven't looked.
I think they're around 15.
Okay, so they came up a little.
Yeah, with over 100,000 on it.
I follow a guy. It's called Maple Motors. He's down in Tennessee. He gets a lot of old hot rods and street rods and nice stuff. Stuff you see at a car show even. And he had in this past month he had like 4 Impalas, and like one of them had this killer stereo. Had to have like I don't know $8,000 stereo system in it. Yeah. Other one had giant wheels. Another one had stock. They were all set up differently, and they were all going around to like up to the like around in the low 20s.
Yeah,
probably because of the mods, but Yeah.
I'm sick, man, because I could have got one. I could have got one for like 4,500. It was the paint was a little beat up. It needed a little work, but I could have got it. And I let it. I was like, oh, I'll get one sooner or later, and not let it go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was the time to do it. Strike when if you don't jump on something like that, you miss it, and then you're done.
Yeah. Who would ever thought that they'd have went out of sight like that? So did the Monty SS's went crazy. The Buick Grand Nationals, they've always been hot. So
yeah, I mean, truthfully, I kind of did, and that's why I kept the car, because I figured, even when I bought it new, I said someday this car is going to be a collectible, because they only made it for 3 years. So that alone means people are going to want it if they didn't have one, or if they had one and sold it. It was a limited production, and it wasn't a bad looking car. A lot of people said, it's a 4-door, forget it. You know what? You don't even think of it as a 4-door when you drive it. God's honest truth. It had all the right stuff in it. Like the Marauder. Ford did it too, and now the new crop of cars. Well, the whole new crop of cars from all the dealers did the same thing. And I kind of had that thought right from the beginning. I know a guy that's got 3 or 4 of them, and they all inside in a storage, and like no miles on any of them. He grabbed them when he could, and he's sitting on a nice little pile there.
Nice.
But
all right, well, let's get the fellas in and see what they're talking about.
Yeah. We'll share the forum. There's Jim.
Hey guys, what's up?
Well,
hey guys.
Lewis, how serious are you about getting an Impala?
Don't tell me something.
Ray and I have a mutual friend. His name is Bill de Blasio. And
who's in a hospital with hernia surgery.
Yeah. Apparently he's doing all right.
He did a Chassis John post yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, he was MFing. He was cursing out everybody.
Is that the mayor?
No,
yes.
Thank God, no.
Yes and no.
Mayor of the Impala Club, not the mayor of the city. Thank God, no.
No, I can't even do any other projects. My life is done.
I hear that. Yeah, he had a couple extras.
Yeah.
That he just got rid of both of them. I saw him a couple weeks ago, and one of the buyers was there and at lunch, and then somebody else. Not only does he have his own, which he bought brand new in '95, he bought one of the club members' cars, and he shipped that down to Florida, and he keeps that in his Florida house.
Oh.
So he has one up here, and the one up here is the race car. I mean, he's got all kinds of work done to that thing. But, I mean, he drives it out to the drag strip, races it all day long, does road racing with it, does, the parking lot stuff with it, and drives it everywhere.
And I'll tell you, to that fact, Lewis, what I did way back in the early days, we used to do group purchases with the club for stuff. And I cashed in on the Hotchkiss sway bar deals. I tell you, man, the front sway bar is like, it's I don't know, 1.25 inches. The freaking thing is like a barbell, and it doesn't use regular sway bar links. It uses like inverted tie rod links that are threaded into each other. So it's like a solid mount. But I tell you, that car does. That's another one. I'm going to say my Pontiac definitely handles better because it's a little smaller. But the Impala, that's another one. I could take that car on ramps and off ramps, and it kind of lays flat with no other modifications.
Nice.
I love the way those old Pontiacs and Cadillacs and Oldsmobiles ride, and they're just a dream to drive.
Yeah. GM's always did have a real nice ride. Very true.
Yeah. But to answer the show's question topic, the reason I love old classics and hot rods is I've always been around them ever since I was just a little tiny boy, and watching my uncle and my dad wrench on them and then helping them. I was flashlight holder. People wonder why I don't get offended. I'm like, well, I held the flashlight for my uncle. You had to toughen up. Or if you're 9 years old and you're begging him to let you help, so he hands you a wrench and tells you break that bolt loose on the front suspension. I'm pulling, yanking, and pulling and yanking. He's like, "What's the matter? Can't you get it?" I said, "No." He says, "Because you're weak." I'm like, "I just figured it's because I'm only 9, but whatever."
Yeah. Life experiences, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So-
My dad, he was fixing my brakes one time, and I was in the house getting showered and getting ready to go out for the night, and come back out. He says, "Your brakes are working, but your driver's side wiper, you'll have to reach out and use your hand because I needed an extra screw."
I've had cars like that too.
Yeah.
Oh
All right, Brian, you're up.
Well, I'm up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your turn.
Yeah,
Maybe not up.
like I said, I would prefer the old stuff, and I'm hoping one day here soon, I will be driving, pre electronic cars. So,
Yeah.
I thought of you
know.
today, Brian. I'm reading one of my Cars magazines from 1967, and our good friend Marty Shaw wrote the article. He picked the 67 Mustang GT Fastback as his car of the year. And he went in the article, he gave his reasons why. And he said, even though he likes a nice Hypo 289, he went with the 390. And I tell you, as far as design goes, I was never really a Mustang or a Ford guy, but I would own one of them. I like the look of that car in a Fastback.
A lot of people, there was a lot of change for the 67. They did a lot of stuff, even though, they always, unfortunately, they've always had that, oh, it's just the Falcon, or it's just, that those people like, saying that it was no, but in 67, there was a lot. And, you would think that even though the cars didn't really change on the outside, a lot of people say, well, why won't this part fit? Or why can't I make this, because there was a lot of changes on those cars.
Yeah.
And that big year between 66. That's why there's a every once in a while it comes across, and I'll have to save it so I can put it on our page on the Plane and Traffic. But it's a Porsche commercial, and they show a older 911 screaming through the foothills, taking the turns and going over and going through the tunnel and the whole 9 yards, and at the very end it says you have to drive this car. There's no electronics helping you keep the car on the road, and I always like that because it's funny when somebody drives an older car, they go, man, it's like driving a truck. But that's the way they used to be. I mean, you had to manhandle the car. You just, today, and people still wreck them, and the cars can practically drive themselves,
Oh, yeah.
Well, the first thing is they turn the traction control off.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, he had one of those newer GTOs,
the Jelly Bean GTO.
What was that, like 90, what was it,
2004 to 6.
Yeah, he had one of those, and he had a lot of stuff done to it. And that's back when I had my Fox body, my GT, my 5.0. I had an 89, which I wish I still had, because that was another one. You could throw a rock and that rock would bounce off 5 of them because they were all over the place, and now you can't find them,
What I saw today was a Capri.
Holy
Capri. And that's why Bertie Gerard, the guy who did all the road racing, he went from the Mustang to the Capri, had that kind of bubble back
in,
because it was the same size, but it was a lighter car.
Yeah.
So he put the same motor in it for the Mustang, and he made his own little, track blazer.
But my brother-in-law used to always say, you want to race, I would say I'd race him, and mine was basically stock because I was still on the road with the Mustang. So all I did was, I slammed the 5.0 to the ground. I hollowed out the exhaust, and that was really about it. I didn't do much of anything else on the car. And I told him I'd race him in a heartbeat, but he had to turn the traction control off.
Yeah.
And he's like, no way, I can't even, I could never keep it on the road. And I said, well, I don't have traction control on the Mustang. We already know the problem that they have. I'll race you.
I would have taken that bet in that car. And what I would have done is I would either would have done a second gear start, or I would have rolled it out. You got to roll it out easy, and then at about 1,500, whomp it.
Yeah.
And then you would have been toast.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. But
And
you can dream about that. But yeah. Okay.
Listen, those cars were quick with the LS.
Oh, I know they're quick. That's why I told him he had to have no traction control.
Right. But you got, with a car with no traction control, you got to drive it. You got to think about that. And you either got to roll it out and hit it, or you do a second gear start if you have the torque. And they got a pretty good amount of torque to them.
Yeah. My brother, he still has the car. It's a 67 fastback.
Huh?
And could you imagine a little kid getting a ride to school in something like that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you were like the coolest kid on the block, and you wasn't even driving. But he's still got that thing. It's beautiful. It's about the same color as the car they used in the Le Mans in '66. That F40, I think Ken Miles drove it.
The blue color?
Yeah, that real light
Sky
blue.
Light blue.
It's that color.
Not my favorite color for a 67 Mustang, but yeah, okay.
Black interior, all the black accents and stripes and decals. But that car, he's never done anything to it restoration wise. It still looks just like it did when he was in high school.
Well, there's no reason to really change the body. It's beautiful the way it is. It's got functional hood scoops, that concave rear panel. I mean, that's what I always liked about it.
Yeah.
Just they hit the styling. And in this article, they showed the concept cars, like 5 or 6 concept cars going back to like from the late 50s that were all going to be the Mustang, and then what it eventually became. And they even called one of them the Mustang 2. And, of course, they reused that name, as we know later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty cool.
See what Justin said in the chat. Louis got it on the screen there.
Just need to pull your battery. Yeah, there you go. That's cool.
He needs a chance, man.
Yep. I don't know. It's crazy, but I will tell you one thing. A lot of shops, especially the last couple weeks, they've had a lot of old cars in there and trying to get back up on the road. And I don't know if people are preparing for the day when they're going to turn stuff off on you or what, but I cannot get over how many people, how many old cars, and we're not talking cheap because you can't find any parts.
Well, I was going to say, I hope they're not relying on finding good points and condensers and even brake shoes. I've had so many pairs of brake shoes right out of the box that were just, I don't know who built them. It was like, they thought round meant square because they don't fit the drums at all. Some of them are not even centered on the base, on the metal. I mean, I don't know how they're building these things. It's ridiculously.
Well, it's slapping stuff together and the glue not setting. Because I've seen that. I mean, I've had guys and I was talking to a couple other guys about this. Nothing. I don't care if you're, just like a couple weeks ago, I had to fix the toilet at my mom's house that was, running, and I go up, buy a kit, come back, put it in, and that one's bad.
Yeah,
it doesn't work, So then I go up and get another one, and by the time I'm done, I'm taking the original one I had out, the one that I got, the first one, and the second one, and I'm taking pieces and parts off of everything to make one work. And something that takes 15 minutes ended up taking 2.5 hours.
I just did something similar. I noticed that our toilet was like, it would run a little bit. So it's the flush valve.
Yeah. So
I went in there and, I shut the water off. I lifted the flap with one hand. I just cleaned it with my other hand. Because I don't know what the gunk is that gets on there.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously the fresh water side, and it was better for a little while, but it's doing it again. I'm like, you know what? I don't know.
But, like these guys, they get stuff, and I hate to say this out loud, but a lot of these guys are not they're not self-driven and just fixing the problem. They want another part. Instead of taking what they have, and I was like, well, why don't you just trim that up to make it fit? Or why don't you cut this? Or what? Well, I'll just get another one. So the car sits there for another day and a half.
Right.
And, there's no motivation or no guidance or self-discipline or whatever you want to say to get the job done, And, of course, by the time they get the third part or they get the third set of brake pads or brake springs, they're, it's like completely crazy. This whole parts situation and so forth. It's just unbelievable.
Well, that's
Nothing
like what
simple.
I said, and I've seen it on the channels I watch on YouTube, and I've had it happen to me in the shop. Points and condensers. Points are garbage these days. I mean, I have a little stash of 40-year-old points that are new. I mean, I'm not using them in any of my cars, but the stuff that we're getting new is, it really is MEW. Never ever work. It ain't gonna work too good either. They're garbage. It can, I guess I guess they're making them in China. I don't know what they're doing, but
Hey, Paul.
How are you guys tonight?
Paul.
The point situation, I don't know what's going on. I just came across an older, it was a International Harvester Scout, early 60s, still had a points ignition in it. No matter what I did, I could get the dwell to come in where it needs to be.
where was it? Where was the dwell sitting?
I finally got it to run nice with the dwell right around 60.
60?
60.
That's very.
I could not get it to go lower than 58.
Thank you.
I don't know if it was just the setting on my
What was it supposed to be, Paul? What was the spec?
28 to 32.
Okay,
like
because I had the opposite problem on a Buick and a Chevy where I couldn't get the thing to run with the dwell higher than like 15 degrees. 10 to 15 is where I wanted to run. And I got to be, it was like 28 to 32. So you're shooting for 30. As soon as I got close to 20, that car ran like a bag of crap. It wouldn't run. I had to bring it back. I had to open them back to like 10 to 12 degrees. I was like, this doesn't make sense. This literally doesn't make sense.
The only thing I can come up with, and it would almost apply here too for you, is I'm not reading the meter right on the scale, or it's not getting the proper pulse, because 60 is twice as much as 30.
Yeah.
And
what if you had it on
15 is half of 30.
Maybe you had it on the 4-cylinder setting. I mean, I know mine was on the 8-cylinder setting, but thank you. What happened, I revisited the car a couple days later, and I said, you know what? I remember I took a points distributor out of a guy's GTO, and I stuck it on a shelf and put an HEI in it. I went and I took the set of Unipoints out of that were an original old set of points, put them in the Buick, bang, 30 degrees. So there was something with that set of points, and I maybe the plate was shifted or something. I'm thinking it was manufactured wrong, because the old points,
too much resistance.
Yeah, resistance by me. But yeah, the old points work fine, and that's why I said, you know what? Keep your old points. Don't get rid of them.
Well, there's a direct relationship between the gap and the dwell.
Yeah, absolutely.
The gap is important, and so is the dwell.
The larger the gap, the smaller the dwell.
If you change the gap, if you open the gap up, you are going to lengthen the dwell.
It's an inverse proportion. The smaller gap is a higher dwell. Higher gap is a smaller dwell. That's how it works.
You got to find a fine line between everything.
Speaking of points, I need to ask you, have you been able to catch up with Anthony?
No, I've been slacking all week because I was sick.
Okay, well, he wanted me to tell you that if you were to call and you didn't get him, he's been very busy and swamped himself.
Oh, good. Yeah, so I tried calling him a couple times.
Yeah, he thought he had missed your call, but man, he said he was so covered up he couldn't even breathe to get to a phone.
No, I didn't have a chance to call him.
Oh,
so yeah, I'll get with him. I got one of Ray's guys coming on, maybe next week if his schedule allows, and then we probably get him on the week after.
That's this guy, Wrenching with Kenny. This is his shirt. He's from New York. He's from just up in Westchester. He's around Terry's, not far from Terry, but now he's in Durham, North Carolina, and he's a full-time mechanic. And he puts Wrenching with Kenny as his channel. I'm always sending stuff to Brian that he does. And what he does is he'll take you through. He'll just run the camera while he's doing a procedure. So what I do a lot of times is because I've done the same procedure 100 times, I fast forward through a lot of it because I don't need to see everything. But he comes up with some great stuff in the shop. It's stuff that all of us see. It's one of those weirdo moments or something that you don't expect. And he works on a lot of newer stuff. So it's good to see how he diagnoses and all. So yeah, he'll be a good guest.
What's the name of the channel again?
Wrenching with Kenny.
Wrenching with Kenny. I'll check him out.
Kenny Wessel. Yeah.
All right.
Good show.
So he'll be up next week, I think you said.
Hopefully, we're trying to get him for this week, but I know he was just up in New York. I was going to have him in the studio, but then his plans got changed, so I couldn't have him in the studio. And now he's back. He got back down in North Carolina this week, so he was, I was trying to set him up for this, but he's got stuff going on. He's got a family, and things happen.
Yeah. Well, I had a blow on my project that I didn't see coming. I got the cab off, which is behind me here, but I hadn't pulled the radiator core support yet. Well, the other day I pulled it and lifted it off there, set it on the ground, laid it over on its side, and didn't even pay attention really to the bottom side of it. And I was coming back for it, and I saw the passenger side. The whole bottom is just crushed and pushed up in there.
Oh, wow.
From that wreck. I mean, as far as rust, there is no rust.
So you can repair it then?
Well, I looked at it. It's warped so bad. Somebody probably could fix it, but I looked at AMD and LMC, and for a brand new radiator, premium radiator core support, LMC and AMD has them both priced at $320.
Wow.
Fresh sheet metal, ready to go on. I'm just going to go that route.
It's great that you could do that. I just cringe at thinking $300 for a radiator support.
Well, it's got to be on there. So.
I know you need it. It's important.
Yeah. And then
wood works pretty good.
Yeah,
wood works pretty good.
Right. Well, I thought about just building a frame out of square tubing and stick it in there, but
or just even if you did just the bottom.
Yeah, but on this back support where the two rear cab mounts go in, the passenger side where it was hit on the passenger side, it tilted that bed up or twinked or whatever, and the cab support on the rear driver's side is crushed. It's in beautiful shape other than that, and no one sells that part.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is cut the spot welds, drop it out, and just bang that crushed spot out and put it back in.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That's what happens. Yeah, with a project, you don't know what you're dealing with until you see all the hidden stuff.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
that goes along with the theme of the show. That's what I love about cars. You never know what you're getting.
Justin, what kind of stuff have you found recently that you didn't expect?
Cars being Bondo buckets, which I guess I kind of expected anyway. So
you do everything you got anyway.
I don't know. We've gotten a couple of them actually been too bad. Speaking of square bodies, we just pulled it's a 78. We had it pulled apart and blasted, and we just pulled the cab into the metal shop. It's got a few dents and dings here and there in a couple of spots, but
yeah,
very solid compared to some of the latest ones we've been working on.
Yeah. But speaking of that Bondo, I mean, you should be used to that. Everything you own's full of Bondo.
Well, yeah, you've seen what I own.
That's what makes your cars fast. They're not metal. They're just Bondo.
Yeah, but
Makes them heavier.
when it's your own, you know about it. When it's a customer's car, now you got to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's true.
Especially, or I always like the look on somebody's face when they get a car and they're going to say, "Oh, I want to send it out and have it dipped or blasted," and it comes back and it's just
In a
filled
bag.
with holes. I mean, it's just it
It's in a
looks like
baggie.
a herd of termites came by and ate and they're like, "Holy crap!"
Right. Right.
It's kind of hard to go back.
We got that 61 Impala in the shop that's like that. It was a running, driving, nice looking car, 502 on it, the whole deal.
Beautiful car.
And, he was hoping just to be able to put a paint job on it. And we found a few things that were like, well, okay, you can see somebody's put a little bit of work here and there. And we need to kind of dig further. And so we blasted the thing and there's nothing left.
Wow.
And it had been patched a bunch of times. And even those were terrible.
Yeah. So what did the owner opt to do? What's his?
He wanted it. We're building it.
Okay, good.
I'm basically replacing everything.
I'm actually glad to hear that because that'll keep another great car on the road.
Mhm.
I know that the cost goes up exponential and no one expects that, but yeah, I'm glad to hear he's doing that.
There's a hard thing too because they don't make 61 Impala parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're hard to find.
There's a guy I watch on YouTube. His name's Andy. I can't think of his last name, but he's got a 65 fastback, I guess, or 66. I don't know. I can't remember. He started out with the coupe and then he got one fastback. And that's what happened was he started messing with it and he didn't realize how bad it was. I mean, so he's finally like, luckily they've all been like white cars with blue stripes. Unless you really paid attention, you didn't realize these cars have changed. But he had one, the one he had now, and he's one of these do it yourself guys. And he had a mishap with new wheels he put on because he put new wheels on the car, and I guess he did not understand when you put new tires on. 50 miles down the road, you have to retorque the wheels.
Yep.
And he had a wheel come off and tore the quarter panel all up. And so he was going to put a quarter panel on the car, and I was like, I couldn't wait to watch this episode because I always looked at the car and said the body lines just looked a little funny. The rear, it didn't really have the eyebrow for the rear quarter panel, where the wheel is,
Yeah.
And sure as shit, he started sanding on it, and it was filled with like 2 inches of plastic or Bondo, through there. And he eventually said, "I'm really sorry. I'm not going to be able. I want to send this out because I don't even know what the hell I'm doing in the first place." But there was he realized once he got the new sheet metal and looked that there was no eyebrow or the fender, for the rear.
It's really impressive what some people can do with filler.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some cars out there, like I said, that 61 was the case where like it looked good. Somebody was definitely the cake boss with the Bondo.
Yeah.
I had my Mustang when I bought it, and the same thing. It looked, and like I said, I had it. I don't know how long she had it done or how long it was done, but it was another 5+ years or whatever, 6 years when I had it. And I had taken off the inner panel for the rear inside, and I could see the holes and where the Bondo had came through, and I didn't realize. And I said the same thing. It can't be that bad or that much. And it was like 3.5 inches of Bondo, that whole thing. I can't even believe. Through all the years of driving the car and beating the shit out of it and banging gears and twisting the car all up, it never fell out. But, of course, it starts on a Friday night like you're just going to fix something. Next thing you know, you got this 2 pounds, 8 pounds of dust on the ground, and you got this hole in the side of the car now that you're like, oh, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We got customers like that. Yeah, we had one guy tear apart his Camaro. Do a little work here, do a little work there. 30 years later, it's done.
Yeah. That's what's great about working with body guys. Years ago, I had a Challenger, and my friend TJ was going to paint it for me. So he was doing some work at the house, and the driver's door was a little out of a line, and it would just kink the fender a little, and it would give you that, when it opened. And I guess it shifted a little because one day it was a little more of a little tighter, and I just muscled it. Screw this, and this chunk of Bondo fell off. So he goes, yeah, the fender's out of alignment. So he's looking at the fender. He's like, we got some funny stuff here. He takes his awl, he just stabs it in the fender and pries off this chunk of Bondo like this. Literally, it had to be between 1/4 and 3/8 of an inch thick. And he says, he goes, I know what happened. I'm like, yeah, I know what happened. You just took half my car off. He goes, this car was hit right here in like right where the cowl is. He goes, I'm going to prove it to you. It was hit here. They hung a fender, but because the cowl moved, the fender was too far in toward the engine.
So they brought it out.
And they brought it out to meet the door. And that's what happened. We pulled the fender off, and now we saw that it was a different color underneath. And you could see the mounting holes. It was all the way in. So then he showed me a trick. He took a reamer, and he chucked it in his drill, and he hogged out the holes and moved the fender out. I was like, wow, is that how you guys do that? He goes, we do whatever we got to do. And, and he got it fit. But, man, it was like almost 3/8 of an inch of Bondo. It was ridiculous. And then had the car painted over that, and it stuck.
Yeah, my brother Mike and we would always buy winter beaters that, was a beater with a heater to beat on in the winter. And we both worked at Sunoco gas station at night. And one night we were just being stupid. It was pouring the snow. It was slick as whatever out there. And the snowplow came by and cleaned the parking lot out, but it was still ice on the parking lot. Well, we got out there and just started doing donuts and running into each other. I hit his driver's side back quarter panel. He was driving, it was a 4-door Maverick. And I hit that driver's side quarter panel with my driver's side quarter panel as we were doing donuts, and the whole quarter panel fell off. It was nothing but baling wire, sheet metal, and Bondo.
Wow.
That's funny.
That was like I told the story once before where I had a cousin that wanted to fix her Mustang too, and I used the Sunday paper and fiberglass resin, and I told her, you had to sell the car. Got it all put together, and it was that powder puff blue, and painted it and buffed it out, and it looked halfway decent. Well, she kept the car because she loved the car, and of course during the wintertime, they had the ice chunk that stuck to the quarter panel. Well, it ripped the paper, it ripped that part of the quarter panel off. So there's this hole in the side of her car, and she comes over and she goes, "Can you put this back on the car?" And the trunk is that ice box with the piece of paper. And I'm like, "No, you were supposed to get rid of this,
No, go get go get another Sunday paper. We'll start from scratch.
Then start it all over again. The Sunday paper and fiberglass resin. My poor man's fiberglass. That's
I learned something too, because now fast forward from the Challenger, I don't know, 30 years, when I brought my Pontiac into the body shop 6 years ago, just to do the first go through of rough work, and it had been sitting in the garage for 20 years, so it looked like hell. And I pulled the car all apart. It still looked like hell. And the guys in the body shop were all giving me grief. Oh, this car, it needed quarter panel work. But they were all giving me grief. Oh, what are you bothering with this car for? Why don't you get another car? And I said, dudes, I don't think you've been in this game long enough to realize what a solid car is and what a junker is. I said, once you start working on this thing, you're going to see. And sure enough, it took them maybe 3 weeks of work. And then they were telling me, wow, this car was so much easier. Because, you had to straighten the quarter panel, but it was all metal. There was only a skim coat of Bondo on it. There was only a 50-cent piece size rust in the floor. So it was one little piece of a patch panel. It was like no other major work had to be done. It just looked bad. And I knew those were guys, they just weren't that experienced. They hadn't seen all the stuff that Justin sees, where it's
The good and the bad.
Yeah, and the bad and the bad.
And the worst.
And worse is right. Exactly. So
I 3D printed my manifold.
Oh, very nice. Look at that. Cool.
Yeah.
So
Well,
are those holes through holes or are they threaded?
Yeah.
What?
Here, through.
They're through holes. Okay.
So
right.
I put it on. This is too high. So we had to shrink it down. So the new one is about, probably half of this.
How long did it take to print that?
27 hours.
Wow.
And so this is just my demo so I could fit it. You know what I mean? So I have to send out the file to a company to have them do it in a different material.
Okay.
So Ray, you were talking about you might have somebody?
I have a friend that he's at the old Orient Express shop, and the guy he was partnered with started going into all the 3D printing because they do a lot of race bike work. So they were making air boxes for bikes, for street bikes and race bikes. And I mean, you name it, anything they couldn't buy, they would make, and they were doing a lot of 3D printing. They still are. So it's the guy that was his partner, but I will.
I needed whatever the material. Some people say nylon. Some people say you can get it metal 3D printed. Whatever I can put gas through it.
It's got to withstand the gas and the temperature. Really, is what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they'll know what material. I guess I'm still guessing, but everything I've found so far is to be nylon.
I will.
But they have like 4 different nylons.
You know what? I'll send him a text and I'll ask him about 3D printing. He calls the show all the time. He's one of the regular callers. Brian, you've heard Christian. You've heard Christian call it. He's anything to do with like old tech or drag racing or he's on it. He's the man.
Yeah.
But he keeps very active with this stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Because I hit a couple companies, but they were in China somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully he'll say and I'll just give you his number and you call him and tell him what you need.
Okay,
because he's going to have to talk to you anyway. So,
yeah, so I've seen a couple places that can do it, but I've heard horror stories. They're ordering stuff from China. 6 months to get here.
Right.
I'm ready to go. I got to ride.
Right.
Mama wants to ride.
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah. No, that's
I ordered all my new material for the seats too.
So you just kind of went by how it has to come out of the head, and just putting the carburetor right there. So you really haven't played with length of like runner length or plenum design or anything. I mean, 'cause there's a whole science behind that stuff.
Yeah. Well, what we did is we made it where when it goes through it like aims right towards the arms.
Oh, so there's a little bit of contour inside.
Yeah. So
nice.
See the contour here?
Yes.
So it's running. So inside, I don't know if you can see it.
No.
It's too dark.
Yeah, it's too dark.
So the other one I have printed, I got it sitting on a bike. I don't want to take it off now because I don't want dirt to get in the holes. But it's half the size. So this flange here is like right here.
Right.
It's really hitting each arm or each leg, I guess we call it.
Yeah.
Yep. But I'll know once I get it done if it flows good.
Yeah. Well, that's the stuff that's how Edelbrock got so popular. They started flow testing stuff and finding out, in real world, well, it didn't have to just look good; it had to work good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on a race bike,
It's all that math that we didn't pay attention to when we were in school.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we said.
I'll never need this.
Well, actually,
I never need to know how to do that.
You know what? I don't know. I disagree. In school, in regular school and high school, you didn't get that because it's fluid dynamics is what you're talking about.
Well, I mean in general.
I know.
When you somebody says, how can I figure out what my gear ratio is, or figure out something, and we just never paid attention in math.
I
Right.
was too busy reading car magazines.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Car magazines, the sports page for me, along with car magazines. If
Well,
I
you
wasn't in
had
the car
the,
magazine, I was in the sports page.
You had stolen your dad's Playboy and put the car magazine on the outside, so that's what it looked like,
double
but it was a
down.
whole different redhead on the inside. It wasn't a red 62 Nova. It was a redhead there.
Louis, your bike's a 97?
Yes, 87.
87, and it's a Venture.
Yes.
All right, I might as well just tell him that so he knows.
Yeah, I'm going from the 4 carburetor setup to the single Weber, the one that you did for me.
Right. All right, well, I just asked him if he can handle it. Now, what I'll do is I'll just, like I said, I'll hand them off to you. I'll hand you off to him, and then you guys can talk. And, you don't need a middleman.
Sounds
And
good.
I can attest for the fact, I'll vouch for the fact that this guy does excellent work. Like I said, he does work for race teams. They hire him to build engines and do custom stuff. So, he's in the game for real.
Nice.
All right. Yeah, hopefully it'll work.
So if he can print those, I might sell the files to other guys with ventures, because a lot of people are wanting to switch over.
Sure. No, if you can get some money back by doing that, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a nice little bonus.
Yeah. Yep.
Get something back for sure. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the epiphany between yesterday and today. I'm looking at my 55 Chevy project, and I kept saying that I wanted to get the floors done in it, and then I could go from there. And I realized I ain't getting the floors done in it anytime soon, and nothing's happening until I do. So I decided I'm just going to build it the way it is. It's going to be real ratty, and I may have to put some stop signs in there if I have to. But
There you go.
That's the way to do it. That's in style.
They got panel bond now, so you don't even have to go through the trouble that you used to have to go through. You can just panel bond a street sign down in there.
Yeah. But so now I'm thinking, now I got to talk to some guys, because I was looking, and I know they make a ton of tubular control. I want to do the gasser thing, but again, that's stopping me because I don't have the whole front subframe. So I'm just going to do it with, the conventional suspension for now. We can always go back later and change it with control arms. But now I have a set of knuckles and disc brakes from a Colonnade body GM, which was like 73 and up. It used a bigger ball joint. I want to see, and I don't even know who to talk to. I want to find out if there's a control arm I can use with that size ball joint, so I can use.
Why they sell a reamer.
So I can use those bigger brakes.
I think that it's Speedway Motors sells a straight axle kit for the Tri-5 Chevrolets that is literally a bolt-in gasser front end for the 55, 56, 7.
The catalog right here.
Honestly, I think the only thing you got to weld in is your mounts.
I don't think you have to weld anything.
Maybe a different kit then.
Yeah, got the Speedway right here.
And created a bolt-in kit.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
I turned right to the Chevy Nova gasser kit. Let's see. 58 to 70, 55 to 57.
That wouldn't suck.
No. Oh, yeah.
We've got one at the shop we got to build. 64,
There's
I think. Yeah, I think it's 64. We're going to build it out of spare parts.
A 64 watt.
Nova.
A Nova. Okay, yeah, it's still the small one.
It's going to be our
spindles.
spare parts car. We got a big block sitting around and straight axle and stuff like that.
HD gasser axle. Let's see. It looks bolt in.
I think they truly did some research and development and created as close to a true bolt-in, and I could be wrong, I could be thinking of something else and getting things mixed up with all my travels and all the shit I've seen and the people I've talked to. But I believe that Speedway came up with this.
I have to look closer later when I compare. So I'm going to need a set of fender well headers. I have a set of, traditional headers, but I want fender wells. And I'm going to put the tunnel ram, single quad tunnel ram on it. A buddy of mine up the block has a roller cam that he was going to put in a big block, and he's not. So I think I'm going to buy the roller cam kit from him. Throw that in there. Put the Muncie M21 behind it. And maybe the 488s in the back. We'll see. And off we go.
There's another guy I watch on Instagram, and he had a 4-door 57, and he's changed it over to a 2-door.
Is that the guy? He's done a couple cars like that. He has 55 also.
And it's really interesting watching him how he cuts it and pieces it, and it's fairly interesting.
Where is he at? I forget where he's in the Midwest somewhere.
Yeah,
because I was watching him for a while. He's got a mullet.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the guy.
So, but I think he was making this 57. I don't know if this 50. I know one of them was supposed to be a gasser or type thing. But I got. Let's see here. Where's my phone? Where'd my phone go? Oh, here. So the only reason why I'm kind of excited because it finally came today, and we're having a
boy
sandwich.
Wasn't
we are having a one hell of a cleaning party.
Oh, a dumpster. Wait a minute! Don't tell me you're doing what I should be doing.
Huh?
You're doing what I should be doing.
Yeah.
Are you downsizing so you can relocate?
I tell you,
You're down.
This guy or this company didn't have the 27 or 52 you cannot throw away stuff in. This is like it's got 3 things that are on the list where you can't throw away. You know what I'm saying? So
what are the 3 things?
Concrete, dirt, and it's on the list saying tires because the tires will be charged differently. They'll charge you for the tires when you throw away. But it's dirt, concrete, or human remains. But
that goes without saying.
Dirt and concrete's for.
Yeah. Right.
And the dirt.
But going along the line, I have the first dumpster that we tried to get, which we had gotten from our garbage company a couple of times, never had an issue. And we got it, and we could. The one thing I liked about that, we could have it as long as we wanted.
That was what I was going to ask you. Yeah.
And this is 2 weeks. We have this dumpster for 2 weeks. If I need it longer, I can have it longer, and it's only $15 or something additional charge per week or something, or 2 weeks or whatever, which isn't bad. But again, I'm just hoping to really get some cleaning done. And
so let me ask you this. What's the first thing that's going in it?
Well, the first thing that's going in is the 3 sheds that I tore down last weekend.
All right. Well, they don't count because that's debris. That really is debris. From the cleaning out standpoint.
Yeah, the cleaning out. I have, Ray, I couldn't even begin to tell you. I just have.
That Ford motor?
No.
Put that in there. So you
Isaac,
make
you
room
better
for your
watch
LS.
I'm going to cut you off, boy. I'm going to tell you right now. Don't make me drive over there and punch you in the mouth, okay? Stop that nonsense.
Threats have been thrown.
But, I've got so much stuff that I will never ever use, and that I've got wiring harnesses, I've got exhaust, I've got stuff that I don't even have anymore. And I just got so much stuff, and I've told people, I've told a couple of guys I said, hey dude, I've got this, if you want it, come get it, because this weekend it's all going in the dumpster. So
See, it's a good thing I don't live right by you, because I'd be taking the stuff you threw out.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, I'll tell you how bad it is. Just yesterday, I was out in the garage, and I was looking for my buddy Mike, one of my new friends with the 67 Chevelle. He's got a bad motor mount, and he's looking for. He was going to put a piece of chain between the motor and like they used to do back in the day. Yeah. I said, back in the 60s, they actually had a bracket that went on the exhaust manifold, and it was a piece of cable that went around the crossbar for the A-frame. And I have one. I got it somewhere. So I started looking in all these dark places because I've had it since the 70s. Right. And I'm looking in bins I haven't looked at in years. And I took this one bin out from under the bench, and in it was a big aluminum pot filled with hardware. I just started going through. It wasn't there. I knew it because I couldn't see it. But I started going through this hardware and said, I got this thing. I started collecting and pulling out quarter inch or 5/16 bolts that are only like a quarter inch long, the real shorties, because you can't find them anywhere. So I started pulling all that out, and I pulled out the Allen bolts, and I had all the bolts that were left. I put back. I said, no, all this stuff there's stuff that's left has to go to the dump. It's got to go to the dump, because what am I doing with it? I put it back under the bench. It's like, I don't need it. I'll save the short stuff, and I got to get rid of the rest.
So I got a guy coming in June, my scrap metal guy, or actually he runs my route. He collects all the scrap metal from all the shops, and I talked to him, and I told him in June I would have a pile for him to come by and pick up, and where I had 4 Audi transmissions. I had a torque tube for a 944. I had tons. I had 2 or 3 hoods for Subarus. I've had 2 or 3 deck lids for Subarus.
You should have had a yard sale.
Well, like I said, I told a handful of people this is what I got, and come get it. And they're going to be really disappointed when they see on my Facebook page when that dumpster drives off with all this shit sitting in it, or with a scrap metal guy. The metal stuff, I got a differential for a Quattro, 90 Quattro. I have so much stuff, and just I don't even know. I hate to say this out loud with Ray sitting here. But I've got a 55-gallon drum of Holley carburetors.
I know.
I mean, they're 2 barrels. I mean, they're nothing fancy. I mean, there's 2 barrels, and I just figure I don't need 17 of them. Maybe just keep 2 or 3.
I think the same thing. I know, but I'm thinking out of the 17, I should have your 15 to figure out if I want to keep my 14 or your 12. Or how about one of these? When was the last time you saw one of these, Brian?
Yep, the relay. Yep.
Yeah. In a couple
I got a box. I got a whole shoebox full of those.
Yeah, I got another. What's with all these freaking pins? I never saw Terminal 58. What the hell?
Is that a DME relay? That does fuel pump and your igniter spark. It's got a
VW and Audi logo on it, and it's got at the top. It looks like a speaker or a beeper.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a dinger. That's your chimer.
Those Holley carburetors. You got those Holley 2 barrels?
Which ones? I can't see what you're looking at. I just see car show thing.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I need a closer picture, Paul.
That's the top of the. That's the top of the.
Those would be like the tripod.
I don't know.
Those are the.
I would have to
20
look. I got
Those
all
are-
kinds of shit, dude. I got
I
so
think
much
those
stuff.
I think those are 2100s.
Are those
Something
2100s?
like that. These
I think so.
actually don't match each other. I need a couple that match.
Why?
One is larger than the other one.
Oh.
They're not the 500 CFM. They're the smaller ones, but they don't match.
Pay the freight, and Brian will send you 17.
Yeah.
I don't want 17. I want Brian to pick 4 that
I
match.
want to spread
You
the
pick
love. I'll
'em.
spread my trash all over the place. What do you want, Jim? What do you want?
Definitely not
I
Holy
mean, but I
Carburetor.
got sets of Kragers. I've got Hurricane things. I've got torque thrusts. I've got so much stuff that I will never ever mismatch wheels.
Oh God.
I'll keep the sets, or I'll keep one if I have 2. But
Do
Man,
I just need to get Do I just need to get on a plane, get off the DWI, rent a U-Haul, and drive straight to you, load it, and then drive straight home?
There you
Be
go,
back
Paul.
to work on Monday.
There you go.
You're gonna have so many Holly carburetors.
I just, like I said, I'm just hoping that.
You have any
I've been
wire
going
wheels?
through a lot. Huh?
You have any wire wheels?
Yeah. Wire wheels? Wire. No. I got a whole bunch. You want some Boxsters? I got Boxster wheels. I got Porsche wheels. I got Porsche wheels out of Yang Audis. I got so.
What kind of
Honda.
Porsche? What kind of
Got any
Porsche wheels?
Honda?
For like a Boxster. 99, from like 97 to 99 Boxsters.
Those are those turbine rims, right?
Those. I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah.
The only ones I'm going to
You got
keep are the
any,
phone dial. I got a set of phone dials, and that's what I want to put on my Audi if I ever get my Porsche changeover. I mean, change from 4-lug to 5-lug on my Quattro.
You have any
But,
carburetors for a John Deere 318?
No, actually, I just trashed a John Deere. Was it 3? Was it not? You said 318? Yeah.
Yeah.
I trashed one, folded it up, and gone.
Oh,
All right.
It had a broken rod.
Dear Lewis, I just I got in touch with Christian. I just sent you his number. He said he's dealt with the 3D. They're not doing it there, and that's because him and his partner went separate ways. But he knows guys that are doing 5-axis stuff. He'll talk to you about it, and then he can put you in touch with one of these guys who he thinks is best suited to what you need, because he knows, he knew about the conversion already. He says, yeah, I know guys were doing that. So yeah, give him a call, and he'll do the best he can. He'll hook you up.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, Brian, those rims?
I can't.
It's
Those
kind of
are.
blurry. There it goes.
No. Yeah. I think I have a set of those.
Okay.
I have to go look. They're in the other. I took them. I got them in the other shed when I bulldozed the other 2 sheds down. I got one small shed with them.
Bulldozed? You pushed it down.
Yeah.
I pushed it down. I know. Did I show you the video?
You didn't bulldoze shit. You pushed it down.
No, I pushed them down. Damn right. It was funny. It was funny when the one shed came down. Half of it was still standing, and everybody was telling me, "Oh, we need to do this and do that." And I said, "Get the fuck out of the way!" And I just said, "Clear," and pushed it over. And then they all looked at me like, "Jesus!" I said, "Dude, we don't have time for this dynamics of engineering. We're just fucking pushing the shit over."
Right. Use a sledgehammer.
Yeah. The one shed I hooked the John Deere up to and pulled over. That one was a little bit more sturdier. The one once I took the garage door out, man, that son of a bitch lean also kicked the 15 degree lean. It was ready to go.
All right, so let me ask you this. I guess a lot of the stuff you're going to be dumpstering was in the sheds.
Yeah, in the sheds and in the garage. I've actually, I know it's hard to believe, but my path in the garage used to be 2.5 feet wide, and now it's 6 feet wide. That's how much I've
Nice.
cleaned out.
Whoa.
You know, I did the same thing. I had 2 sheds out back that were steel sheds, and stuff just started getting rusty in the shed because they were leaking and all. And when I took them down, and every couple of years I take everything out, rearrange it. So then when I finally took them down, it was like, yeah, a lot of stuff. I just got tossed. I just got rid of it. That's what you got to do. You got to. But now
I have. I can't remember. And I mean, like I said, I guess it comes like the Subaru stuff. I had told a couple guys about, and they seemed interested. I think I'm going to put them on Facebook Market for one week because I have the shed. I mean, I have the dumpster for 2 weeks. Right. And if I sell them, I sell them. If not, dude, it's just I'm just done. I gotta make room, and I gotta get. Hopefully, I'll get the my F-350 started, and I can unload that. Well, actually, I need it for a week because I got to pull the turbo. The tool truck needs a turbo.
What are you doing with the reclaimed real estate now?
Reclaimed. Well, eventually, we're supposed to put a new garage. We want to build a garage in the spot where it was.
That's good.
20.
That's kind of in the back of the yard, though, right?
Yeah, 20 by 20.
Okay.
A 20 by 20 a 20 by 20 shed or garage.
All right.
So, but we're having county issues permit wise.
Of course you are.
Yeah. I mean, we can afford. We can. What?
Hold on. What county do you live in again?
Montgomery.
Did I hear you say Montgomery County?
Yeah, you heard me.
Problems with permits?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've been down in Texas, I guess, too long to truly understand what it is to even have to ask for a permit.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry, I had to rub it in.
That's why Brian's not talking to you right now.
But no. I mean, like I said, we can afford the shed parts, no problem. It's just the other $9,700 of the BS part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's
I just learned something going on in Howard County now. It used to be in Howard County, 3-acre minimum with the partials, and the footprint of your garage could not exceed the footprint of your house, I think is what it was for a long time.
That's a bunch of crap.
Dude, it's terrible.
Now the footprint of your garage with 3 acres or less, I think can only be 1/3 the footprint of your house.
Wow.
Oy.
Well, they just passed that new car meet thing in June 1st here in Montgomery County, or state of Maryland itself.
What's that, Brian?
What's this legislation they got?
Huh?
What's this? What are you talking about?
The car meet and car exhibits and drag racing, and they got this thing now that's banned in Maryland, and even people that attend the car meets and expedition driving and drag racing can get fined and points on their license now.
Oh, Jesus. That's barbaric. I mean, that's
we got those idiots that go up here and tear these parking lots up in the middle of the night. So they just go ahead and rolled it into all cars.
Yeah.
And last week somebody was actually ran over at one of these things. The guy hit and killed.
When that happens, that's when the hammer comes down.
So, of course, down off here off of Schweitzer Lane, about 4 miles from my house, they had a car meet thing back there, and a cop went back there to try to break it up, and they all jumped on top of the cop car, and he was fearing for his life, and it's just so we got to pick on the old white fat guys sitting up at the donut place shop now. Schweitzer Lane back there off where UPS is back in there,
where what used to be the Wall Street Journal building.
Yeah.
Is that all industrial area?
Yeah, it's industrial.
Yeah, it's older industrial and some residential apartment buildings. But it's basically one way in and one way out.
Not anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean not anymore because they got Route 2. That Route 200 goes through there, and they have That's where they tore. That's one place where they tore the whole intersection up because you're back out there in the middle of a cornfield, dude. There's nothing back there. So, but like I said, that goes in effect June 1st, and I'm waiting to find out. It won't be the first time that they've ran us out of the Holy Donut because of a couple of years ago they tore up the parking lot, and the landlord said he had enough with everybody and no more cars up in his lot.
Right.
I can kind of see that from a landlord's point of view. I mean,
I can get a ticket in my car for driving my Model A to Roy Rogers for a breakfast sandwich on Sunday.
Yep.
Just
Come on
because my friend Bill drives his Batmobile at the same time that you drive your tool truck up there.
Yeah.
And because that could be considered a car meet, all of a sudden we all get tickets because we happen to drive to Roy Rogers.
Well, then everybody's got to go to court and fight it.
Yep.
So
you got to make a stand. Yeah.
They're trying to tweak it. They're talking about they're of course. It really depends on how far they're going to take this because they're talking about these guys that are tearing the parking lot up and doing these donuts and driving around like idiots. But unfortunately, there's no the gray area in that, or the way they see it. They just see, these guys in hot rods or these cars. They don't.
They see the whole car culture. They don't.
Yeah, they just don't see one.
They,
we're all evil and we're all bad. That's like and this was a long time ago because the Mustang was still on the road, and unfortunately, I've been gray since the age of 19. So I've been elegant looking and just handsome with the gray hair, but I'll never forget. The hot rod, the Mustang was running up there at the gas station, and of course, I'm not gonna lie, it was open headers and tunnel ram sitting on it, and I'm loping around there at 1,500 RPMs, and a cop pulled up on the other side. I was putting air in the tires, and he's just waiting for his kid. He's thinking of this kid standing up, and I stand up, and the cop's sitting there, and the look on his face was, "How old are you?"
You're still doing this stuff, kid?
And you're
Brian,
driving this?
At your age, Brian, with that gray look you got, you would be a really good Moses in a Christmas play.
Well, yeah, but they're not going to let the guy with the devil on his arm in the church. So don't worry. I don't get asked to go to the church too much.
They'll let you in. Don't worry.
All right, guys. Time to pay the bill.
Over
all right, Jim.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay,
hey, Jim.
Take care.
Sorry,
girl, you ain't said a word.
Yes, every 40 years, going back to that Burtonsville parking lot with car meets and hangouts.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Been going there for a long time.
80s.
Yep.
Late 70s, early 80s. Burtonsville Speed and Sport was there.
Sonny and all those guys. Yep.
There wasn't much out there. We used to race out on 29. The park and ride at 216, which is now a shopping center.
Yeah.
That was another meeting spot. Meet in Burtonsville, run out to 216 park and ride, and race on 29. That's for over 40 years. And now they want legislation to kill it.
Yeah.
So we had
make too much noise.
Mm.
We had a big car meet in the next town over got shut down.
What happened? Who got shot?
Later.
Oh, there's a car meet in the next town over got shut down recently.
Really?
Same deal, people ripping around and noise and stuff.
That's always going to be a problem. And out here, where I am, again, it's actually out where Jim lives, out in Suffolk. There's industrial parks, and these kids they'll meet there, and they do it all with text messaging, so it's on the fly. They used to post on social media, but the cops got wise. They started monitoring social media, and they were telegraphing it. Now it's like a flash mob. It's like
Yeah.
we'll be there in 10 minutes, and remember, and then they do their thing and they're zipping around, and it's an industrial park, so there's nobody there. But if they do catch them, they shut it down. Of course, everybody gets a bad name, but it's the same everywhere. It's and I can see an owner's perspective of his parking lot is getting defaced every night, and maybe there's garbage left behind. He doesn't need that. He's in business. He doesn't need to have his place.
No, I mean like I said, I understand all that, and I'll use these numbers. I don't have any data or like, but when you have 90% of the people are halfway decent about it or respectful, and again, unfortunately, all it takes is somebody, one or two people or one group of people, and next thing you know, we're all punished for it, or we're all labeled as, that was funny. And this was years. Of course, I'm talking about years and years and years ago. We used to all hang out in a shopping center back in the day. And of course, the cop would roll through, and everybody would go, scatter, because the cop would roll through. And, and like I said, I was just waiting. I was moseying on. Of course, I was, when you're running around with 2.4s and open exhaust all the time, you kind of watch. You don't want to be really, it's not like you can hide it, you know what I'm saying? So cop rolls in and everybody scatters and runs, and I'm like the last guy leaving.
All of a sudden your car won't start. No, I can't get it started. I don't know why. Get the coil
no, I mean, I started up, and kind of idle on out and drive down the road. And it was funny because, one day during the week, that officer had seen me at, I guess I was probably getting gas or whatever, and he rolled in and he just wanted to say, hey, I'm not, I have to give you some respect because you're not driving like an idiot. Right. You're not out doing all that stuff. And he goes, and actually, if you just tell your friends they could stay, at least we know where you're at. When you're not in the parking lot, we don't know what you're up to.
Right.
But, if you're in the parking lot, we kind of know where you're at,
Right.
And
we can seal you off at any time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, people,
right. And it's good that at least he said that because, he knows, not everybody, it's usually a small group that makes the trouble.
Yeah.
I make sure when I go to cruise nights, like the bigger ones, I go out the back way. I go out like through side streets. I don't go out the way that everybody else goes because that's asking for trouble. Just being there is trouble sometimes.
I tell you,
we had so they shut it down many years ago, but they had South 6 on the south side, and that was rough. But then they had Speedway that runs east to west. It goes by the university, and then people would take it all the way 5, 6, 7, 8 miles to the east side. And there's a couple of places we'd pull over and park, couple parking lots, grocery store parking lots. And same thing as Brian was saying is when the cops would roll through, I'd usually walk slowly to my car or get off the hood slowly and walk around. Half the time they'd just say, hey guys, get out of here. Or they'd wave to us and say, hey, you're good. And then drive on. It all depended. But what we would do is we'd go and we'd cruise back and forth. We'd go by the university to look at the girls, and then we'd go back down and just be in the mix of cars, looking at all the cars, and then pull over to watch the cars go by. It was a lot of fun, but eventually I want to say it's probably been 10, 15 years they closed it down. They closed both cruise spots down, but it was Friday night, sometimes on Saturdays too, but Friday was the big one.
I mean, your place is probably like here, like everywhere else. They close down one and it'll pop up somewhere else because that's what you want to do. You want to enjoy that culture.
Oh yeah, it was a blast looking at the cars. You go down on South 6 on the south side, and it was all lowriders or lifted trucks. And it was a blast going down there and checking out the lowriders. And then you go down Speedway, and it was hot rods, Japanese or Euro cars souped up, and just mini trucks, people just cruising up and down both spots, really. But it was a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd hang out in parking lots till 2, 3 in the morning, drive home.
Yep.
I remember my son being about 3 or 4 years old, my oldest boy, and we'd hop in the little Nissan truck I had, and we'd go cruise and look at the cars and the chicks. We'd cruise, check out the cars, and then we'd park, and we'd sit on. There was like a little grassy spot in front of one of the shopping centers, and we'd sit there and watch the cars go by. And he'd go, "Daddy, look at the cars," and then car full of girls go by. "Daddy, look at the chicks."
Right.
Oh man.
He's 27 now, so this wasn't yesterday. Okay, this was many years ago when that was the Archie Bunker days, the George Jefferson days when that was allowed.
How old were you? Like 3 when you had him? Because you don't look that old yourself.
I'm 47. It wasn't in the 70s.
Wow. Okay.
This was late 90s.
I was there in the 70s.
I was too, but I was an infant.
Yeah.
Not me.
No, I wasn't, says the guy with Medicare.
So you're an art guy?
Oh, I've been an art guy for 15 years. You kidding me? Not that I agree with everything they do. I just, they got good discounts on stuff.
All right.
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys, when you guys were talking earlier about the older cars and then the upgraded suspension and stuff, do any of you guys have any knowledge or experience with air cups or hydraulic cups that go in the suspension?
You talking about airbags or?
No, it's like a cup. So on the from what I gather, the little bit I've seen is, I guess it's a cup. It sleeves over the top of the
upper control arm,
the strut, and then where the spring is, and you can have like coilovers or whatnot to lower the suspension. But then if you're going to go over a speed hump or pulling into a driveway, you can raise it up just enough. But so like for a sports car or whatnot, you can keep it low, and then pulling into a driveway or whatnot, you can raise it up just enough, just a little bit, a few inches.
I haven't seen that. It sounds nice. Sounds like a good idea.
Those Iron Horse Garage Boys did a old 70s model Pontiac Catalina convertible, but airbags at all 4 corners. Man, they did a great job on that. But it's just a cruiser this guy has down there in Nampa, Idaho. Brought it to him, says, "Here, airbag it." So they did, and it turned out great.
And I guess the cups are cheaper than the airbags because it's just a cup. And
where did you see that, Isaac?
I've seen a couple different videos. I watched a video today with a Datsun 240Z or 260Z that the guy, he was showing the build process, but he had gotten air cups for it. And the one place I originally saw it, there's a GT40 one of those super performance GT40s, and I want to say it's like Rivian or something like that. The guy took it to SEMA, but he did his own wide body kit on it and everything. And this thing just whatever, I think it was Michigan or something like that, wherever the guy was, they were out. It looked like out in the country, and the car was parked on some grass, and it was like the blades of grass were touching the bottom of the car.
Nice.
And they were talking about how low it sat, and he says, oh, now on his it was hydraulic cups, and he said, I've got these hydraulic cups, we raise it up, and they raise it up, they get out to the out on the road, and he drops it right back down, and it sits real low like he's out on the track.
And
Were
he
the
didn't put
roads
anything in the
terrible?
links or anything. He didn't put any of the supplies in the links.
I don't remember, because the hydraulic ones were the ones I was having a hard time looking up. I found a bunch of links for the air cups. I had
Were
those
the
earlier
roads
today.
terrible in the video?
No, so it might have been
Then it
somewhere
wasn't
like
here.
it might have been
wasn't.
it might have been somewhere like Idaho.
It was on the other side of the railroad tracks from where you are, Slingshot.
Probably. No, I've been over there. They're worse over there. We had,
And the state of Maryland, if the roads are really bad, that means you're safe. That's a safe neighborhood. The roads that
Right.
get fixed all the time is the rough part of town. They got it because they had to do their improvements. So
about a
that's
year
what,
ago,
that's
we
what you
had
go by when you go to buy a house. You look for terrible roads, you know you're safe.
Here's the
about a year
car.
ago we had a reliable carrier's truck come and pick up a car from our shop to take it to an auction down in Indy, and they were
That's-
asking about because the car had some stuff in it, and the driver goes to me and my boss. He goes, "All that stuff is secure, right?" Oh yeah. Well, you guys know that Michigan's got some of the worst roads. No kidding.
Yeah.
We live here.
Yeah, that's that car.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
It's Ruffian.
I'd say
RUFFIAN.
I'd say at the bottom of his video, see if he linked any of the suppliers or parts he used. A lot of guys do that.
Yeah, I'll have to,
Or send him a message and ask him. Ask him direct.
See, I'd like to do air ride on my truck.
what was that, Lewis?
I'd like to do air ride on my truck, but I got to put my money in the bus. I can't play too much on the truck.
Yeah.
But I would love to
watching
do air
a
ride
video.
this year.
This is cool. It's an air cup lift system. Yeah, so it just does what I just looked up something. So you have coilover, just like you said.
Yeah.
And then it sits in it, and then when you want a little extra, just jacks it up like another 2 inch or something, 2 inches.
I was watching a video the other day, Lewis, about a bus that had 300 people on it, and it went over a cliff.
Woohoo!
I'm thinking, how did they get 300 people on that bus?
That had to be in India or someplace like that.
It was,
Yeah.
it was Africa. They were
they-
sitting on top of each other's
Those-
heads.
Those are
Yes.
those cups.
Yeah. That's it. Stance parts, right? Is that what you got? Is that
Yeah, I
what
think that one's stance parts.
yeah. Stance parts.
Yeah, the way Iron Horse Garage did that Pontiac, those cups you're talking about.
Yeah.
The kit they bought, it came with cups, and the top of the area where the coil spring would be, they cut that out and then put that cup in there and welded it in. And
Yeah, here's a picture of that.
Yeah.
There's a cup on the setup. Now, on the one you're talking about, Joey, was it full airbag suspension or was it cups?
It was full airbag suspension, and it had those cups that the airbags had to mount to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they welded those in. They didn't bolt them in. They had to cut that hole out bigger in order to fit that cup in there where the coil spring used to be.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen those. So that I think is different than these cups. These cups are actually the cup itself has the whatever component in it that airs up. Where what you're talking about, it's where the bag seats.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not.
This actually looks pretty cool. So you take
I'm not really knowledgeable about all that. I've watched videos and seen how people do it. You know.
So you take
Yeah.
where like the 3 bolts where it would bolt. Take that off, put the cup there on the spring,
Mm-hmm.
and then you push the rod all the way through, and then you just put the coilover just in like a normal coilover,
Right.
and then you hook an airline to it. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I was thinking because I'd like to do so with the Porsche, I'd like to do coilovers in the front and get it pretty low.
And
but
then do this. Yeah.
Yeah, because pulling into my driveway, and we have some parking lots in town that have some mountains for speed bumps, but more so than anything for pulling into my driveway, coming up over the curb. I can't lower the Porsche and put any type of front air dam fascia on it.
Right.
If I lower it, I mean, it sits low as it is, but if I go coil springs and I lower that thing down,
You got to go up on an angle.
yeah, I've had to do that quite a few times. I got lowering springs. I used to have a 92 or 93 Nissan Maxima, and I went with it was either a 2 or 2.5 inch coil drop, and it was fun on the road. I mean, for a big car, it sucked down on the road. It handled nice. Pulling into the driveway, I'd have to go at an angle like that, and it just got tiring.
All right. So the question is, how far are you from Central Phoenix?
I'm about, let's see, Central Phoenix. I'm about if I left right now, minus traffic, I'd be about an hour and a half.
You hit it, Lewis. You were just about right.
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking about you the other day. That's all.
Where to send the guy?
Right.
Yeah.
we got to get coordinates. And he was coming out of Central Phoenix, so.
Hey, if you're sending him this way, that's great. Don't send me up there right now. It's hot as hell up there.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, they're so we haven't hit 100 yet officially. And the other day, Lewis, you might have saw it on my Facebook where I said, "What the holy hell is up with these weathermen?" The guy's excited. We're about to hit 100 degrees, and I'm like, "Okay, we get it. It's the desert, but Jesus, don't be all excited. Like, what the hell's wrong with you?" And anyways, I watched the weather later on that evening and saw that Phoenix was already at 104.
Wow.
And we were officially hovering at, I think it was like 97. I want to say at my house it was probably about either 99 or 100 even, but we're usually a couple degrees above what's official here. But when we're officially at 97, they're at 104. So this time of year, I definitely try to stay away from Phoenix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, Lewis, I don't think I'm going to the barbecue anytime soon over there. I don't know. It's a little too hot for me.
Yeah, we've had a couple of 75 to 80 degree days, man, and it's been nice.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got to jump ship. So I appreciate it.
Take care.
And
All right, Lewis, reach out to Christian. I tell you, he's just now, since I asked him, I tell you, he can talk bikes, man. He hasn't let me go since I asked him. He's been going nonstop about stuff. So
okay, tell him I'll hit him up tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. Talk to him. You'll have a good time. He's a super knowledgeable guy. He's a regular on the show. We have him on all the time. Okay. He calls in all the time, so he definitely knows. Come on here. Yeah, you know what? I've mentioned it to him. A lot of times he's in the shop working. So when you talk to him, mention it to him. I've asked him before. I've invited him on before. But so
hey, I want to let everybody know that we're going to be doing a lot of work with Wrench Nation. So keep an eye out for him. Go check him out on his podcast, and he has all the social media. This Wrench Nation. Frank is one of our guys. So check him out. YouTube? He's everywhere. YouTube,
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram.
French Nation TV.
Yep. So check him out. He gives a lot of tech, and he does a lot of stuff for schools and kids. So check him out if you get a chance.
Guy with the great hair.
Yeah. And I will see you guys next week. And I appreciate everybody. Have a good night.
All right, Lewis.
Night.
Hey, Lewis.
You
Have a
too.
good night.
Later, Lewis.
See you later.
Ray, what was?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Isaac.
I was gonna say we a while back we were talking about the LED headlights. I've got a set. I think they're supposed to be here on Monday. I've got a set of the Holly Retro Brights coming in to try on my S10 Blazer.
You bastard! You pay was it $174 a pop?
Yes, on
They just had a sale.
on Summit.
They just had a sale. Yeah. I just can't see spending $400 on 2 headlights.
Yeah, I actually, and I think the sale just hit because I spent about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Well, I spent several months, but officially I spent a week and a half, 2 weeks going back and forth, pulling them up, look like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger.
I've been doing the same thing.
And then I pulled them up and I was like, that's it. I'm pulling the trigger. And I pulled it up and I pulled up Jegs, I pulled up Summit, and then I pulled up Holly's website. And I was like, hey, they got a sale. I got to pull the trigger now.
So let me ask you, your S10, is that a square light?
Yep.
Okay. See, because the question I have, and I'm going to expect a full report on this.
Yeah.
I put sealed beam halogens in my car now, which is better than the T3s it came with. And of course they do the LED halogen style where you just put them into the housing from the rear.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they protrude through the housing, and I don't have space because I have the battery right there.
Yeah.
So I'm curious with these assemblies, how much deeper they are, if they are, than standard.
I think I have the same issue with my battery. Is just right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the passenger side, right, Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Real close.
They have the halogen because I had the same problem with I don't know if it was Emma's or Brianna's car, but they have like the LED. I mean, the LED lights to go in to go in the back. They have ones that have angled connectors. You know, they like
like a 9006 or something like that.
Yeah, like a, yeah, is it 9006 or
6 or 5? I don't.
I can't remember, but
9004. I think is
that's what I had to do. I had to change them because I had gotten the ones that came straight out the back and it was rubbing up against the thing, and I changed and I had the clearance problem. I had the room then.
I mean, yeah, that could be good. Some of them, they just nothing you do is going to help. So
on these
application.
On these, I'm trying to pull it up.
Yeah, it's not Holly doesn't make. It looks like Morimoto.
Wasn't he like the Japanese chef?
I don't. Yeah, he's making headlights now.
That's crazy.
No, that's what I'm looking on their site. I'm looking at the pictures.
All right.
It looks like
I give you credit, Isaac. Isaac, yeah, I couldn't pull the trigger on that one.
Oh, on Holly's site they have a comparison.
One of the things is that on the Blazer, I don't know how yours is, Keith, but mine's a 95. But the headlights are so dim. Now I've gone on to forums and I found there's some, if you redo the wiring, there's a way to use the regular seal beams and make them brighter. But I started looking at it and I was like, you know what? I don't have the time. I really don't want to do all that. If I can find something good to do plug and play, I'm going to try it. It's an expensive try, but I figured.
I just bought the housings and then got an LED. Well, I have in my Typhoon, I have HID, which that's freaking old technology now, right?
Yeah.
But I have I don't know on the Cyclone. I don't know if I have LED on the Cyclone. I'll have to go look.
Now on these, it has the plug, and it's got a
Yeah.
pretty good length where you can plug into the harness and move
Are you
your harness plug down or whatnot. You have room for play, from what I can see.
Here, let me
I have
look at that
I got-
link. Can I? Am I able to share? How do I can't do
Yeah,
that.
you're on. Well, that's on the private chat line. The link.
Yeah, I know.
Share it on the private chat.
What made you shave, Keith?
I was getting too hot. The heat. I went outside for like 5 minutes and I was doing some yard work. I'm like, all right, it's coming off. The next day, I'm like, I'm shaving it off. All right.
I have a question.
Oh, okay.
Got my summer cut.
All right, so I'm rebuilding an 80-gallon air compressor.
An 80-gallon something.
80-gallon air compressor.
Yeah, that's what he was just gonna say.
And all it probably needs are those little wiggle lines that go on top of the pistons that builds the compression up. But he's frozen. He's lost in time.
Yeah.
He done froze up.
Drop another quarter in.
Yeah. So that's the peep show. Come on.
The
It's gonna be
eclipse
like
happened.
like a Fonz on the jukebox. Like,
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see that picture, right? It looks like it might be a little bit larger. I don't know.
The backing to me looks like, off of that picture, looks like it's shallower.
Oh yeah, the glass part, where the part with the roundish part
On the back.
Yeah.
So I
My
think
my only concern, or my only I would want to look at, because this is what usually a lot of them will say for motorcycle only, and they don't have the right indents on the back to fit in your buckets, because the buckets are different on a motorcycle versus a car.
No, these would fit. They show it on a square body truck.
Yeah, I know that. But like I said, it can be done, Keith, but with fabrication.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing I don't like about some of those headlights, because they're not DOT approved,
well,
or they don't have the right they don't have the tits on it for back in the day of alignment wise or whatever. Even though we don't do that anymore, but I have tons of different headlights or whatever that I've gone through the years, and some of them will say motorcycle only, and you had to fabricate the bucket to make them fit right, so you can put your ring around it to hold it in.
It says Holly on it. I put those just the regular housings. You know, they have the housing, and then you put the bulb in the back. I put those in the S10s without a problem.
Okay.
They fit.
Now, the one thing I did find when I was looking them up, so when I was on Summit, from what I was seeing was there was a bunch that were just high beam, a bunch that were just low beam, and I'm like, hell, that's going to be a problem, because I have the single, and then I found one that it had both high and low beam. And because before seeing that, then I was like, do I want to pull the trigger? I was like, well, on one aspect, if it's brighter than what I got, then I don't need a high beam bulb, but because if I put high beams right now, it might somewhat get light enough to see.
Yeah.
I mean, they're candlelit dim. They're so bad.
So it looks like a little glowworm going down the street.
Pretty much. When I get a car behind me, they usually light the path for me. I mean, it's that bad. And I'm not talking about the brand new cars with the ultra bright lights. I'm talking about maybe a early to mid 2000s or older car.
Test.
What are you testing? Yeah, and then on my 53 Buick, I have these round ones that have like on the sides. It's like turn signals, the lights. I mean, it has all kinds of different lights. So I hooked up to the turn signals. So I make, what happens? I turn left. I think the whole thing blinks orange, the things around it.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
it's got like the halo.
Halo,
like,
yes, that's it.
Like the BMW Halo.
Yeah. So then I just did away with the one there's supposed to be another blinker underneath the headlight. I'm like, oh, good. I don't need to fix that. Just use those. But I haven't driven the car, so it doesn't really matter. I did figure out that I was driving around the yard and I had the headlights on. I'm like, wow, it's really aiming high. I'm like, that's weird. And I hit the high beam button, and then it went down. I'm like, oh.
You got them upside down
I go,
or wrong side.
Way. Yeah, I still got to fix that. I hit the high beams and it drops down. I'm like, oh, shoot. That car's all just hobbled together anyway. Do whatever.
Yeah, I'll be interested when these come in to see how they work and how well they work.
Yeah, it looks like I bet you it fits. I can't see them making it that it wouldn't fit in the stock spot because every boot would have the problem.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We'll see how they work, how they go. I mean, if they brighten it up real good, I'll be real happy. I might even be willing to drive my car to Marana, which is basically on the outskirts of where I'm at, but it's out in deep Marana. It's all cotton fields and alfalfa fields or whatnot. So it's fairly dark out there. But
is there anything done to the S10? What is it? Right,
mine, it's just a 95. It's a 2-door. I put like suspension drop blocks in the back. Yeah. I don't know if it's lower springs. I got it the way I bought it, and I don't know if it's a drop spindle or if it's lower springs
in the front.
Yeah, I've thought about airbagging it. I've thought about putting a C4 rear end setup in it. That's what I'd really like to do, but or maybe going with a 4-link setup. But even if I airbag it, I'm not looking to airbag it to go up and down. It's more so just to stay low. I want it low. Yeah. I've got a T5 from a Mustang sitting in the back of my Dodge truck that I would like to put into the Blazer because my automatic trans is pretty shot.
Yeah.
But it still runs. It still goes.
Is it a 4.3?
See?
Yeah, it's the 4.3.
See what I'm talking about? Stuff sitting around here. Here's your BMW light sets.
Yeah. Yep. Do you have a BMW?
No.
Exactly.
But they're the it's
HIDs. Yeah.
HIDs.
Yeah.
eBay.
Round. Here you go, Ray. There's your round headlights right there.
Yeah, put those suckers in. Yeah, but HID. I don't know.
That's just old technology. I mean, like I said, the stuff I got, it's all 40 years old, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had, because I used to sell headlight bulbs, the blue headlight bulbs.
Uh-huh. And
then I'm like, oh, and then HIDs started coming out. I'm like, oh, let me start looking at HIDs. And then I started looking at HIDs, and I had a bunch of random HIDs. And I just recently in the closet, I'm like, throw it all out. I even threw all the blue bulbs. I'm like, done.
Did you
all the crap away?
Did you like the HIDs? I mean, I knew like one or two guys that put them in their Toyotas, but there was just so much you had to wire in.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it's a pain in the neck. It was good for the time because there's no LEDs were like either way too expensive or didn't exist yet. Depends on it was too much wiring. You had a ballast, and ballast would go out, and then headlights on. It like takes like maybe a minute for the headlights to get to the full brightness. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm that old school guy. I mean, I like it's like the turn signal. I mean, the sequential turn signals that I have for my Mustang. I've got the old wiper motor style instead of the relay pack. That they changed later in life. So,
Yeah.
and of course, I always like when you're looking at an older Thunderbird and the guy turns that, because everybody always says, "Oh, I want to see your lights," and you hear that motor down in the quarter panel. You're like,
Yep.
"That's awesome," and everybody's like, "What the fuck is that?" You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I'm old school that way, where that's why I have these, because I thought maybe one day those would go in something,
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I just got so much stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, Ray, Joey said he's backstage.
Backstage, lost. Did he unfreeze himself? Warmed up?
Must
Yeah.
have.
Turn the AC down? I mean,
Justin, did you watch Cletus McFarlane?
A little bit.
So you should watch the new one they just put out. You'll probably get a kick out of it. They're doing body work. They bought a car. They had him and George.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He thought he could just take Bondo and just fill in the hole. Anyway, that's all I'm going to tell you. But the rest of it, I'm just like, what the hell are they doing? You'll freaking
Keep
crack
putting
up.
it in there.
Yeah, you'll crack up. I
I'm
think
back.
you'll get a kick out of it.
I'm still using
80-gallon compressor rebuilding. What are you doing?
All right, so I purchased the 5-horse engine or motor, and I'm trying to find a 6-inch double V-belt pulley with 5/8 shaft.
Mine's like, I think I have it here.
Did you look in the
I'd love to have it.
Did you look in the MSC catalog?
Either Granger or MSC.
You know, Joey, something
Why
weird
do you
happened
go
when you
to
left
I'm sorry,
before.
Ray.
I lost all audio.
Yeah, well, when it crashed over here, all of your all's cameras just had that ring of death going around.
Well, now you came back and I can hear you, but I don't think I can hear anybody else.
You can't hear us?
You can't hear us?
He can only
I
hear
don't
Joe.
know if they can hear me. Brian, say
We
something.
Gotcha.
are
We-
talking.
We can hear
We can
you.
hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear Brian at all. I can't hear
Well,
anybody but you.
Can you
Coach
hear us,
Isaac
Joe?
said, "Good, you can kiss his ass."
I can take him off the screen too, so his ass is grass. Around, he's done, man. You know,
You might need to go out and come back in, and that'll fix it.
if I go out, you're all out, I think.
No, it still will stay going.
Yeah,
You
it
just
stays
have-
going.
Yeah, you just come back in, and
It's
it'll be fine.
Who takes over at that
let me
point?
see.
Did you take us off live? Tell them take us off live.
Remove
Yeah,
from
we're still
stage.
live.
I guess
Yeah,
that's
we're
me.
still live. Tell
See
everybody.
you, YouTube, everybody.
Hey, Mater. Thanks everybody for being here. We appreciate you.
You know, I'm gonna kill
hanging
it.
out
I'm gonna
with us.
kill the live first. I'm gonna do that.
Hold on, Mama.
I'll end the stream.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to watchpttv.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.